Kamal, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on CNN News 18. It's D-Day. Pathaan has finally hit the screens. This has been a much awaited wait, not just for the industry, but also people who've been involved with, Multiplex Association, theatre, so on and so forth. So we thought, what are the numbers saying? What are the trends saying? We have a very special guest now joining us here on CNN News 18. We have Kamal Gianchandani, President of the Multiplex Association of India. Kamal, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much once again for taking our time. 5 lakh advance bookings. When was the last time we saw numbers like these?
The last time we saw these sort of advances were KGF 2. And the advance was actually 5.5 lakhs. I'm assuming you're referring to the advance of the top 3 national chains. So
that's correct.
The advance number actually finished at about 5.5 lakhs, which is higher than KGF 2 and number 2 in the all-time ranking, Bahubali 2 being the highest.
So, first day, first show is over. I'm already seeing a lot of chatter on social media. How is the buzz on ground for day one?
It was fantastic. I was at one of the theaters to watch the first show myself. And, the show was full. I was watching it in an IMAX screen, and the excitement that I could see is something which we haven't seen for a very long time. This is a full-on commercial film, very stylish, but also desi at the same time. And, with every entry scene, whether it was Shah Rukh Khan or Salman Khan, with every twist and turn, you could feel that the whole cinema was almost like a stadium, in terms of noise, clapping, and the excitement with which people were engaging with what was happening on the big screen. Absolutely fantastic. Not something which we've seen, like this, we've not seen for quite some time now. So,
absolutely.
Very positive. Numbers are looking fantastic. The movie has started with a bang. Almost all shows are playing near full. We expect the All India to be at least 50 crore plus, but it could very well be, middle of 50s, or could be the, closer to 60. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day, but it's going to be a massive record-breaking number.
Well, that's a big number that we're looking at, and the day's only started. Kamal, I quickly also want to talk to you about this, trend that the movie and the filmmakers have gone forward with. Usually a big release like this, especially with a Khan release, it's usually anticipated around Diwali or the end of the year because it's the holiday season. But this time around, they've tried to actually break that mold and gone with the release just before Republic Day to cash in, on that extended long weekend of sorts. What did you think of that strategy?
It's a perfect strategy. I mean, 26th January has always had big films coming out every year. So this year was no exception. I think the strategy has worked to 100%. And full credit to Yash Raj distribution and marketing team for pulling off a wonderful job. I mean, I think no one could have done it better than what Yash Raj has managed to pull off.
Right. I want to now talk to you about, the kind of boycott calls in this film. So, there was a lot of fear that possibly could this have an impact. What did you think of the boycott calls? Do you think it's played in favor of the film?
I'm not trying to condone any negative chatter on social media.
Sure.
But to be perfectly honest, in this case, I think it played to the advantage of the film. This whole negativity actually managed to create a lot of sympathy for the film industry and definitely for Mr. Shah Rukh Khan. And I think all of that is also reflecting partly in numbers. I mean, you can't give credit of this sort of a box office to just the negative chatter. But I think some element one could contribute to the sympathy that got generated because of this negative chatter. And clearly, the regular moviegoers can see through it. They can see through it that this is all, is being done with some agenda. There's definitely no authenticity in this negative chatter, and clearly is manufactured, is being done with some agenda. People could see through it. But I mean, all of that is now behind us. We're looking at a massive start. Absolutely delighted with the way things have played out.
Right. I also want to talk to you about for the Multiplex Association. People have been involved with the theatre bodies at large as well. COVID, of course, was one of the most brutal phases. Coming out of it, also Bollywood really hasn't seen a big blockbuster. What does this mean for bodies like yours? I mean, it's not just the Multiplex Association. Today I was reading somewhere that as many as 25 single screens have also been revived, and that's really heartening to see because they've also seen the brunt of it and the worst days. So, do you think this is, in a way, putting the worst chapter behind everyone?
It is, and just to sort of, I'm sorry, I'm going to give a slightly detailed answer to this
Sure.
question. Just bear with me. I think those 2 years were quite brutal, as you rightly said. They were really tough on the industry, and MEI did, a lot of advocacy efforts with the government, with state government, with central government. We rallied all the cinemas, kept them together, there was a lot of engagement with various multiplexes, small, big, medium, all sizes. Uh, uh, the thing is that, and it's quite natural that, because cinemas were shut for 2 years and cinema is perceived to be a traditional business, there was this whole apprehension that cinemas would not recover fully from COVID. COVID would be around for a long time and people would find it unsafe to come to theaters. That apprehension has been put to rest conclusively. There was also this apprehension because the streaming platforms were buying films quite aggressively. There would be a shortage of content. Windows will collapse. Window, by the way, is the trade jargon for gap between theatrical release and release on any other platform. The good news is all films are releasing in theaters. All stakeholders, including streaming platforms, are absolutely perfectly fine with the windows. There is absolutely zero dispute. So that's the second myth which is there about the industry, which has been debunked again conclusively. And now there is this whole narrative that people have not come back in big numbers. And maybe this narrative is partly correct, that in 2022, the Hindi original version films struggled a bit. The proportion of films which saw box office success was lower as compared to the previous years. But the fact is that 2022 was also partly impacted because of Omicron. So Jan and February were not fully functional months. And which is the reason when you compare 2022 calendar year with 2019 calendar year, there is a big difference between the box office in 19 versus 22, just for Hindi original version. By the way, there is absolutely no challenge with Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam. Kannada has gone through the roof, of course. But other languages, zero problem. It's just the Hindi original version has seen some decline. But we attribute that decline to Jan and February not being fully operational. And, perhaps some content becoming stale and not, attracting enough admissions, which is the reason 2022 calendar year looked pretty weak. But now when you look at the financial year, which is April 2022 till March 2023, and with what we have seen with Pathaan, the kind of opening we've had, the excitement the film is generating, what we saw with Avatar, Drishyam 2, we are absolutely confident that 2023, we will not just go back to 2019 level in terms of box office, but we will actually end up exceeding it.
Okay. Kamal, lastly, before I let you go, coming back to the frenzy with Pathaan, number crunching is something that interests a lot of people. What is the number that you're seeing as far as by the end of the first weekend? Is there a number that you would want to put your bet on?
I would be disappointed if it's less than 200 crore net box office. Anything less than 200 crore would be a source of disappointment. And I'm pretty confident we'll get there.
Okay, perfect. That's a good optimistic note to actually kickstart the year. And he's hoping that there will be many more films breaching that barrier as well. Kamal, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on CNN News 18.
Thank you, Ridhima.